2003 Ford Ranger with the 2.3. If you got this 2.3 in a Mazda, I'm not sure what those Mazdas are, but doing a compressor here. So far, I've removed a couple things. I wasn't sure if I was going to record any of this, but I did look online to see if there was anything on, and I didn't find anything, so I'm going to shoot some video of this. Maybe this will help somebody. Alright, so far I've removed this breather, and there's this piece that sits up on here, and there's two 7mm bolts to take that off. Then you can use a flathead screwdriver or an 8mm socket to get these two clamps loose, and then pull this breather off. And then it has a vacuum line for the crankcase ventilation, which is here, and that just pops right out. So we'll set that to the side there. Then the mass airflow sensor I've disconnected, and we just got one little button that you push to move that out the way. Then there's a hose here that goes from here to here to this overflow tank, and I'm taking this off because this is going to be in the way when we're pulling this compressor out. So I think that's about all that I've done here, just some real basic stuff. Now next I'm going to be taking this belt off. So you can see the tensioners right here, and we just need it looks like just a 3/8 ratchet. Hold on, I'm grabbing one here. It might be a 1/2 inch. I'm not entirely sure because the way, and of course my ratchet's breaking right now as I'm doing this. Okay, so we're not going to go that way. We'll be going this way. Get this belt off. And I don't have a free hand to pull this belt off, but you can see what we got to do to pull that belt. We have 4 bolts on this compressor. They're 10mm, one here, and then below. Okay, so it's hard to pick up on the camera, but that's it. Just a couple bolts. 4 bolts, easily accessible. We may not even need an extension to get these broke loose. So we're going to take the belt off, break those loose. Once the compressor's loose, I'm going to lean it forward a little bit and break this line loose. So this, instead of having 2 separate lines, it's just one connection. And it's just one bolt that holds it in there, it looks like. So we're going to lean it forward and then bust that loose and take that loose. This thing has already been evacuated, so if you haven't done that, you're supposed to have it done professionally so that they can recover it, unless you've had something where you had a leak and it's all gone already. You have to have it evacuated. Obviously you don't want to break those lines loose if you haven't evacuated it, because it's going to be under pressure and you can hurt yourself. So that's the first thing you need to do before you start doing any of this. Anyways, with that being said, I'll pull this belt off, take off those 4 bolts, and then I'll pick up and show you what I'm doing from there. Okay, I threw my ratchet on here. It's pulled the belt off. Again, there's your tensioner down there. And here is the hole where you put your ratchet. So, belt's off. And we got these 2 bolts on the bottom. You can see the ratchets there. I already broke one loose. And then I can get this other one same way. But it's hard to do without 2 hands. And I know I'm not even getting good video. But it's right there. So I don't even need an extension for these 2 down here. And then 2 up here, same thing. So those will come out real quick. I don't know if you can see, but those 2 top bolts have been removed from. They're pretty long-winded. I said they come out real quick. They come out easy, not quick. You don't have a whole lot of room with the ratchet. You might want to use a ratchet wrench for that back bolt, because you might get jammed up with your ratchet in there. And then this not this one here, but so I'm pulling out the 3rd one from the bottom. There's one in the back here that when you pulled it, it's hitting this line over here. I don't know if you can see that. No, I'm going to try to give you a better shot here. Can you see it right there? Okay, so basically what I'm just trying to tell you is just leave this one in. The compressor's loose now, so you might be able to lean it forward if you want to get it out before you remove the compressor. See how I'm leaning it? And now we could pull that bolt out. But when you're going to put it back in, you're not going to be able to put the compressor in place and then put the bolt in. You'll have to get that bolt in before you line the compressor up. I've removed the other one, so that's the only one you got to worry about. That one in the bottom in the back. So as I said, I'm going to lean this forward, and then, so can you see that bolt, that nut, or bolt head right there? We're going to pull that bolt out. Let's break that loose, get these lines off, and then the compressor will come out. And what I'm going to do is compare it to the new one, and then I want to see if I can get any oil out of this one. This thing says that it calls for 9 ounces. When I looked it up online, it said 4. This says 9 ounces. That's a lot for a small system like this. So, you know, I would imagine there's still going to be a few ounces in it. So I may just put about 4 ounces in it total. Maybe put 3 in the compressor and then 1 in it. But I'll let you know. And then we got 1 pound and 14 ounces of refrigerant. But I want to see how much oil is in this compressor and then see if there's oil in the new compressor, because there's a lot of these compressors are supposed to come with oil in them, and you need to check them because they don't. Like it's supposed to have, say, 3 ounces in it, and if you check it, you'll be lucky to get 1 ounce. Sometimes they don't have anything in them, so I don't know if they're lying or the oil's drying up. Don't ever just assume that it's going to work because they say that it has oil in it. I don't trust that no more, and you shouldn't either. So I want to show you now. Here's where the compressor was, and I swung it up here. Look, these hoses give you plenty of flexibility and plenty of room to do it like this. So when we're putting it back in, we're going to do it the same way to secure these lines back on. So I'm going to break this loose, get that off there. Got it off. So there's just one 10mm bolt in the center there that bolts into that. Nice long bolt. Alright, so I'm going to take this compressor now and see if there's any oil in it. So I have this measuring cup here. Be better if you had something that measures a little bit better. This thing starts at half a cup, which is what, 4 ounces. But I have this other one that measures a little less. It starts to measure at 2 ounces, and if it's below that, I'm going to pour it into the little one just to get a better idea about what I got in it. I need to get a camera stand, but I don't, so be hanging there with me. Let me see if we can get some oil out of this. Not a whole lot. I'm going to spin it and see what I get. Okay, next to nothing. This actually has the clutch missing off the front of it, so I can't spin the clutch to engage the pump. So I'm probably not getting everything out that's in there. But, you know, normally when you open it up, you should get something more than what we got. I think there's just not very much in there. When I put it back in, I'm definitely putting more than that in. But you could put too much oil in your system. So whenever I'm adding oil to a system, I'm going to go just a little bit under. Here's the new compressor. This is a Napa part. So I'm going to unwrap this here and then see what we got going on as far as how much oil is in it. Because Napa's got a great reputation, but all these parts come from the same places anymore. So I still want to check this to see what it says as far as how much oil is supposed to be in it, if any, and then check the oil amount. Okay, so I drained the new pump and I got a few ounces out of it. There's supposed to be 3 ounces in it. And like I said before, it says that the whole system has 8 ounces or whatever. But there should still be some in the system. So I only got 2 ounces out of this, even though it said it was supposed to have 3. So I put about 2 ounces back in, maybe a little more. And when I turned the pump, it started to overflow a little bit. So it worked its way in there. But rather than add any more in here, I'm going to add it into the lines after I pull a vacuum. You can use cans of oil or regular peg oil like this here, if you have one of these injection tubes. So this calls for a certain kind of oil, and it's basically Ford's version of this, which is just peg 46. So, you know, I got the stuff with the UV dye, just, you know, in case. That's the stuff that I use. And then here's an injection tool. So you can pick this up for like 10 bucks online or whatever. And, you know, you just pull what you want out of it. It has a little gauge on the side here that shows you how much you have in there. And once you have a vacuum, before you add refrigerant, put this on your low side and let it pull that oil in. Otherwise, you can't add oil like this when the system's already full. Like if you wanted to just top it off with fresh refrigerant, you would have to have a can of oil like this that's pressurized to add it. You can only do this when it's in a vacuum. You can only add it like the way I just showed you. So the one other thing that I needed to add is, if you look here on the front of this one, there's a spacer here and one down here. You see it? It just sticks out just a little bit. They give you new ones. They didn't put them in. So I'm going to I got a hard rubber mallet, so I'm going to hit it in there and get it to about as deep as these are. So they both go on the front of it. So that's what I'm going to do with this one here. Is here, put it here and here on the 2 front ones. And there they are. Just use this little guy. So you can use pretty much whatever. They slide in pretty easy, and then they stop where they're supposed to. So you can only get them in so far, so you don't have to worry about, you know, getting them past, you know, like hitting it too hard and shoving it all the way in there. But I mean, don't hit it hard. Just tap it in there. It's really easy. They go in kind of easy. Might go in a little crooked at first, and then just hit it on the other side. All right, so I'm going to put this in place, hook those lines up, and then start bolting this back in, and then we can draw a vacuum. All right, the compressor is going back into place. You can see I put the lines on there. They're a little tricky to get into place. There's a bit of tension on these lines, and then trying to get that compressor, hold it into place, and do that while you're threading this in. Could be a little tricky, but once you just want to get this seated to where it needs to be, and then once you do that, you can start threading that bolt in. And I just did it by hand, so it's not even tightened yet. The one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention earlier is the coil plug here. When you go to pull it off, you can't really fit your fingers in there or anything, and the plug's one of those that you got to pry up on. So right here, if you can see, this is where you'll pry up on it. So when I plug it back in, I'll get a little more video of it, but you'll have to get a little tool in there. What I used was a little pick. So if you don't have something like that, I mean, maybe a little flathead or something will work. but this is what I used. So just pulled up on the end of it, and then pulled the plug with my other hand. So you see what I'm saying? So that's actually where it clips on, right there at the top. And you see there's not much space there, especially once it's down there. But it's easy enough. It's not that difficult, but it's not, you know, I don't know how you're going to do it without some kind of little tool to get in there. Like I couldn't get it with my hand or my fingernail or anything. So I'm going to tighten this up, and then I'm going to put these 4 bolts back in. And don't forget to put that bolt in, you know, the 4 bolts I told you, this one on the bottom and the back. When you start to put it down there, get the bolt in first before you get it all the way into place, because otherwise you won't get this in, especially if you start those other ones. Okay, all 4 bolts are in there. Just do like I said with that back one. The other ones will pretty much slide in there pretty easily once you get it somewhat into place. And I'm about to put this belt on, but I wanted to show you this connector here that I was talking about. So when we plug this in, all right, you see, here we are. Can you get a good look at it? But you see what I'm talking about? When you go to get this tab, it's going to be in a tight spot. So you can kind of get your finger up under it. You might be able to pull it like this, but you're going to have to get, most likely, a little tool and just pry up on that tab to get it off. And when you're tightening these down, just tighten them down. You know, maybe when you're taking it off, look how much torque or how much strength it requires to pop it loose, and you just kind of apply that same pressure back to it. I don't know the exact torque on it, but you know, you're screwing steel bolts into an aluminum, so just be careful that you don't over tighten them. Just get them nice and snug. There's 4 of them. Snug them down each one at a time, and once you get one nice and snug, go back and you know, crisscross them and check them like that to make sure that they're all nice and tight. That's all you really need to do. Then, you know, with this, the line back there, you know, it's a 10 millimeter. You know, you just get it nice and snug. It will get to a point where it feels tight and it's like it's bottoming out. And if you don't really feel that, you know, just be careful not to over tighten it, because again, you know, this is just aluminum, cast aluminum, and that's what you're screwing that steel into. So you don't want to over torque it and strip it out. So let me put this belt on, and I'm just going to put the remainder of this stuff back into place. Like I said, I pulled this connector loose for the mass airflow sensor. I'll have to put that back in. These tabs they plug into the breathing tube there. You know, you have your crankcase ventilation tube that's going to plug into that as well. Other than that, we just got to put this hose back here to the overflow tank. So I'm going to keep it off, because if I put it on, I might forget to tighten it up. Okay, we're about wrapping up this compressor job. I put the belt on. You know, you just use your 3/8 ratchet, take some tension off the tensioner again. You come on this side, you're going to be pulling the ratchet this way. You get your ratchet in there, and you'll have to get the ratchet as far away from you as possible, and it's going to hit the water pump pulley or whatever. And then you'll grab it and start pulling it, and you're going to have to get all the slack out of it to get this belt on. So you'll be pulling it with your right hand and then putting this belt on with your left from the passenger side over here. Then I put this back into place, and we have our vent tube that I just plug it in there. So you see how it just comes out, and then you just plug it back in. Then we're going to have to tighten this up there, tighten that up there, and bring this down here. We'll hook up this mass airflow sensor again. Make sure we hear that click. Then plug these in. When you're pulling them out, you can use your hands, because that's rubber. So you grab the rubber and then grab the plug at the same time and wiggle them out. You don't have to use one of those tools to pry it. Actually, I don't know if the tool would help because it's so flexible. It might just be easier to do it like I just described. So we got that hooked up. We're going to tighten these up, and I'll put that little cover back on here. I will have to recharge it, so that's a separate step, and I'll see you in the next video for that. But we're all wrapped up here for this compressor job on a 2003 Ford Ranger with a 2.3 engine.